Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about suspension and some of the different setups that I use and like, and basically, give you some ideas of how you might want to set up your own rig. Right now I'm running the RCLIONS 43 millimeter suspension, and I'm using the Injora carbon low center of gravity chassis. And if you look closely, you can see that on this chassis there's a lot of different mounting points to use here that gives you a lot of different options to use with your suspension. Basically, when you switch over to the 43 millimeter suspension, if you have your stock frame, it'll work, and you will just have to adjust it to different points. But at some points when it's straight up and down, you just don't have as many options to use, and at some point it looks like a monster truck and doesn't give you a good ride height or a good look. So basically, this lower center of gravity gives you the capability to use these 43 millimeter shocks, lower your center of gravity, and your weight is down lower, so it helps you out a lot in the long run. As I built this rig, I went through several different types of springs on this, and the RCLIONS kit comes with 3 different sets: the black, the gold, and the silver. The black spring here being the softest. The gold springs here being the medium softness. And the silver springs, which are the stiffest of the set. And basically what will happen is when you're running a stock Bronco or stock SCX24, whatever rig you're running, when you're stock, the black spring basically is kind of your best choice. Like with the stock rig being that it's so light, the wheels are so light, there's no weight or brass on the vehicle, these work perfectly for your setup at that point. And as you add a little bit more weight to the vehicle, the gold springs are what you really would like to run when you have kind of a middle setup of weight. But basically, when you have like brass weighted wheels, like these Mofo RC brass weighted wheels, they're extremely heavy. The rig's extremely heavy, and if you're running the soft black spring, you might as well not even be running a spring at that point. And these kind of give it the perfect squish for the weight that you're carrying at that point with the stiff silver. Here's the stock SCX24 springs. They're very short, not like the 43 millimeters, and you don't have a lot of travel with these. Basically, they can't basically flex enough to get over a lot of objects. So they work great, but just as you start building your rig up, you're gonna want to switch out the suspension, and that might be one of the first things you want to do. Also, a lot of people run no springs on their 43 millimeter shocks, which actually works great if you're just using your rig on kind of an indoor course, and it's actually fun and very capable at that point. But the reason I actually still like to run springs on my suspension is when you take your rig out to the trails or even on your indoor course, whenever you build up a lot of or a decent speed, if you're just cruising around to the next section, you hear a lot of clanking and a lot of just rattling because there's no spring or suspension support, and there's just basically metal slamming into metal, and you're just not getting a realistic look out of the vehicle. There's no there's no realistic bounce to the vehicle without the springs and the suspension at that point, and I just don't personally like that look. And with the springs, you can get this thing to be pretty amazingly capable running those springs, and I actually think there's a lot of benefits to doing so. So it's just kind of a personal call, but basically that's kind of how I like to run my rig. So again, basically just kind of giving you a rundown of different types of suspension, springs, soft, medium, stiff, compared to the stock springs, and why I still actually run any springs at all compared to no springs on my rig, and basically also giving you guys the rundown on the reasons to maybe possibly switch over to a carbon low center of gravity frame on the vehicle, just for the different mount points on that vehicle compared to the stock. So again, this is a new channel. Go ahead and like and subscribe. That would help out a lot.